Good morning. Our hand today is going to be 10-9. We are on the button. We have a poster, and it gets to him, and he checks. Now, with him checking here, I would have normally done something like this. He starts off with all the cards, but since he didn't raise first in, I think we take out all of these hands. However, I've got how many hands on him? 264 hands. Look at this. Raise first in, 0. 3-bet, 0. This guy is just super passive. He's not going to be raising at all. He's got calls. All he does is basically calls. He doesn't have a raise. He does have a bet on the turn. That's probably when the flop goes check. He has a bet on the river, has a 2-bet on the river. I think he waits until the river's out and bets when he's probably has the nuts or something like that. But a player like this, yeah, just chalk it up. He's got any 2 cards. Villain 5 limps. Villain 5 is playing 31-18. I've got 77 hands on him. We have to look at his VPIP cutoff. This would be the first hand that he plays. I think he's going to be playing some speculative hands. He does have a 3-bet stat, so when he looks at his 3-bet stat 0, he doesn't, but he has pre-flop raise. So I guess versus a limper, I would assume that he would probably have raised some of these hands. I'm going to say probably raise those hands and then limp behind with some of these speculative hands. I think if he doesn't have anything, he's just going to fold. And then it's on me, and I had the button. So I'm going to use my button range. I think both these guys are pretty wide. Cutoff is definitely weak. So I'm just going to raise, and if I pick up the pot, I pick up the pot. I don't want to limp behind because we do have some loose players. If I raise and get called by Villain 7, for example, I do have position on him. So I think that's going to be a good thing. I raise, Villain 3 calls. So now we can reduce his range because he called. And what's he playing? He's played 23%. So I think what we can do is probably, that's 23% overall VPIP. He's in mid position. His mid position is like 21, cutoff is 5, 44. I think he's just playing. He's not playing position. He's probably playing a set range of hands. Maybe on the cutoff or button, he's loosening up a little bit, but probably something like this. Maybe not 5-4, but maybe something like this hand. Do I have notes? I got called, 2 bets from blinds, limp and call to raise, ace king, ace 10. So you can see definitely ace king, ace 10s in his range. We had queens on there as well. So definitely passive. And then next guy folds. So we go heads up to the pot, and you can see our range is a little bit wider than villains. All right, flop is 9-7-6, 9 of hearts, 7 of hearts, 6 of diamonds. No, that's not right. 7 of diamonds, 6 of hearts. All right, so villain 3 checks. I think he's checking 100%. We just looked at him. He is 100% limp call with hands. He doesn't raise unless he thinks he's got it good. So then it comes down to us. What do we do? I think we're betting some top pair hands. I think we are betting some pocket pair below the top card. I think we're doing middle pair hands. We're probably doing our bottom pair. I think we're doing pocket pair below the boards. We're doing our flush draw, our gut shots, 1 and 2 card gut shots. I think we're doing 2 card backdoor flush draws. I think we're doing all of those. We could probably even do some overcards because I don't think he's going to be playing a lot of overcards. With our overcards, we've got 2 card backdoor flush draw. We've got our flush draws with the overcards. I think with some of the no-made hands, we can just kind of bet, and I would expect him to fold a bit. I don't expect him to call with nothing. So this could possibly be a spot where we see bet pretty darn close to 100%. So his fold to c-bet went out of position to 80%. So yeah, this could easily be pretty much a c-bet 100%. I think that is 80%. See, hold on, how many is that? 4 out of 5. I think we're going to see that 100%. He limped and then he called. Yeah, it's possible he connects. He connects with a 9 or a 10. But if he has an overcard, if he has Jack Queen, King Queen, I don't think he's calling. I think he has Ace 2, Ace 3. I don't think he's really calling. So I see that half pot he calls. So that tells me right there, I think he's got probably at least a pair. At least a pair, possibly flush draw, possibly a straight draw. We'll leave in the gut shots now, but that might be it. Pocket pair below the top card, those are 8s. That's part of the straight. He calls that, and he calls top pair over pair. I think he calls with those. So you can see that he definitely is going to be calling. Yeah, pretty decent range. When he calls, I wasn't too happy with it, but I do have top pair, and I do have a gut shot. 7 of spades comes out. I'm actually not too worried about that hand. Villain's going to check 100%. I assume. I think that's correct. And now I think this is where I made a mistake. I have such a large range of hands. A large number of hands in my range that I think we have to be doing more checking behind. Because, we're going to check all of our misses. And then that means we're going to be checking some of our better hands. So I think quads, full houses, straights are betting. I think 3 of a kinds are betting. I think some of our overcards, over pairs might start to be checks. Top pair, not all of our top pairs are going to be bets, I don't think. I think 9-8s could be a bet, 10-9s could be a bet, but like Jack 9, Queen 9, we are vulnerable, but villain probably has a pair, probably has at least a 9, could have a heart draw. And I think if we have 10-9 and 9-8, it makes it less likely that he has 10-9 or 9-8, so it makes it more likely that he has that heart draw. If we have like Jack 9, Queen 9, King 9, Ace 9, I kind of feel like that gives him the possibility of having a 10-9, which, I mean, that's fine. He's outkicked. He's outkicked at that point. So I do think with our top pair, I think we bet 10-9, 9-8, but the other 9s are probably just going to be checking. I think our flush draw and our open ender is probably going to be a bet here. So you can see that our bet now, we went from 100%, now we're c-bet down to like 29%, not a whole lot. We're still going for value because I think he's got heart draws and possibly straight draws as well. So we bet villain 3 calls. So I do think flush draw. I think open ender is going to call. Are all top pairs going to call? So once he makes it to the turn, you can see that he's really never been in a situation to get 2 of them. I would assume that your like 3 of a kind, your straight would be raising, but against this player who's not seeming aggressive, I think we're going to have to leave those in. Same thing with like top pair. I think we're going to he's not going to show aggression. So you could see that right now we're like 50-50. 2 of spades comes out. That doesn't help. Villain 3 checks, and I think that's revealing. So he has bet. So I think the quads, full houses, and straights are going to be gone. The quads and the full house, I think, are gone. I think he would bet those because he has. When we look at his betting, his flop, he doesn't bet his turn. He does bet if it goes check, I believe, and then the river, he does have a 2-bet. He does lead out. So I think when he has a hand, he bets here, or if everyone just checks, he's going to have a pretty decent hand that would allow him to bet. So I think he would bet probably full house and quads. I think straights, three of a kind, overpair are probably just going to be check calls. So if he's got check calls, then the question is, what do I do? What do I bet? You could see that if I do top pair plus, I should be ahead. And does he call with all of those? Yes, he does. So let's see here. We copied his range. We have 10-9. Let us open up Equilab. All right, so Equilab here. We are looking at our bet. If we bet and get called, which I think he is going to be calling, we are 6% favorite. So I think here this is not a very good bet for us. What about some of the other bets? So let's just do ace 10. Let's just do this. Let's delete that and say let's have ace 10. Oops, I'm sorry. No, yeah, not ace 10. I forgot. We have a 9 out there. Ace 9. It's evaluated. So we're at 22%. So, we bet half pot. If called, we're going to be losing. That's not going to be good enough. What if we have trips? What if we have, yeah, let's do 7-8. What happens if we have it? Are we going to be ahead? Just leave that open. Yes, we are. So if we have a straight, it looks like we are going to be ahead. If we have, I think it's just that top pair hand. Hold on, we got 7s with the 8. Let's take that out. Let's just do a7. Yep, still set. So it's really just that top pair. If we have a 9, we've got basically a showdown value hand against this range. So I think versus villain, we're probably just going to call overpair. Let's do our overpair. What happens if we had, let's say, a king? We're at 69%. What happens if we do 10s? That we're going to be also... No, 10s are 35% because he has a possibility of the overpair. So what's our cutoff here? Maybe queens? Yeah, it's looking like queens. So if we've got queens plus, we can bet for value because, if called, we're going to be more than 50% ahead. If we have jacks or 10s, we shouldn't. So what does that leave us? I think we've kind of talked about this. So we're not going to bet our top pair. I believe I checked. I did check behind. So I think we're going to bet quads. We're going to bet our full house. I think we're supposed to bet our straight. We're supposed to bet our 3 of a kind. And then for our overpair, we're supposed to bet queens plus. That's what it looks like. And then we've got top pair, overpair, and we could possibly throw in some like ace high. Well, no, probably not ace high. We don't want to have the ace of hearts because we want him to have it. We want him to have the possibility of having it. So I think maybe like one of these hearts, queen jack of hearts, queen 10 of hearts, or maybe even a weak pair, 8-6 could be a good one. Although having the 8, blocks in the straights, it's probably better not to have an 8. So we did check, which I think is acceptable. And he shows queen, which I did. That's what I took a note. Limp called, posted. It's probably limp call isn't the correct. Posted, blind, then call from EP with queen, queen. Check call. F and T on 9 high on 9, 6, heart, 7 diamond, 7 spade board. So I am going to just add a note. Very passive, does not preflop raise, RFI, raise c-bet, will bet turn river if checked through, might raise river with solid hand, something like that. So if we see him again, we have quick notes. I don't have to like dig through his stats again. So do we have that in there? Yeah, he is. Once we recognize that villain was going to be super passive and not really call a whole lot, or not really raise a whole lot to try to get us to fold, it kind of starts making sense that he probably has a decent hand. And if he had the heart draw, he's not going to call a river bet. So, or if he had a straight draw, he's probably not going to call a river bet. So, there's really no point in betting. If he calls, he's going to have at least top pair plus. All right, hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, look tomorrow for another hand.